Okay guys, come and get an ass whooping because this is Sir Whoopass and he's gonna kick some ass and bite some heads off of gnomes like Ozzy Osbourne with bats. So, this is Sir Whoopass and you're the super strong knight from what I remember the story, and you get locked in the jails underground in the dungeons, and yeah, he manages to get the key and break out, and he's starting to cause all sorts of chaos, and he's trying to seek out this legendary villain beating artifact. That's what it's actually called, and that really hints at like the humor of this game. There's like a lot of humor in this game, which will have you roaring with laughter for the first hour or two, and then it sort of peters off from there. So you're trying to find this artifact to vanquish this immortal, which seems to be like some magic wielding mage wizard dude, who's summoning monsters and evil creatures into the world. So for an indie title, this is like a fun 3D hack and slash. The graphics are pretty good for an indie game, and you fight ogres, skeletons, trolls, orcs, and other foul beasts. As I said, the graphics are pretty good. They really reminded me of like what if Skyrim met Serious Sam, the third encounter, or any of the encounters, because it's got like that cartoonish, half sort of somewhat realistic look. But yeah, the graphics look decent in some areas, and in other areas they definitely look dated. Yeah, it sort of resembles an action-oriented The Witcher. The heart of the game is definitely the humor with this. It's just especially hilarious for the first hour or so. As I said, you're eating live gnomes. They're stuck in cages, and you pick them up and other items to regain health and your powers. And there's also like funny scattered items around, such as like a kid's ball cap, which you can put on your like sort of warrior helmet. And there's just lots of hilarious cutscenes and amusing dialogues. And lots of barrels and boxes can be smashed, and items to be discovered, and enemies to be slain. So some areas can be quite challenging, and if your experience was like mine, there's a lot of repetition required to bypass these areas, traps and conquer enemies and mini bosses. I tried a number of times with the boss, and got close, but it seemed like a lot of dodging and strafing involved, kind of like Saints Row the remake. Seemed like a strafe fest. But yeah, despite the ability to sprint, jump, and roll, I felt that the camera would let me down whenever precision movements were required. Battle with like faster enemies required haste, and pivoting wasn't as easy. Also, judging the distance for jumps, that was a big thing when I first played this. In a 3D environment, it's quite tricky and challenging. The game can be fun, but the fighting kind of gets repetitive once the laughs slow down. Like I found once the humor sort of disappeared, the game sort of feels a bit more generic when you're just running around hacking and slashing. It's currently $9.74 in the Steam Autumn sale. Regular price is $19.49. If you can get on sale, you should get your money's worth. And it's like a 10 to 15 hour adventure. I kind of got stuck in, like, I got tired of fighting mini bosses that required a lot of restarting. So and that's when, like, obviously it's not so funny when you keep dying endlessly. So despite the flaws with controls and the game's heavy repetition, yeah, I would say it's an entertaining 8 out of 10 adventure if you can overlook these flaws. When I first played it, it's a breath of fresh air because you don't really see these tactical games very often anymore. In the era of like big budget AAA video games. So I'd say pick it up if you want something that's a little bit funny and lighthearted, not so serious. Just expect like the humor to sort of peter out, but it might get a bit more repetitive, so it might be a better game for you to just like stop and start your adventure and like just deal out little dosages of Whoopass rather than huge amounts of Whoopass cans on your enemies. So keep on slaying and keep on laughing. Alright, keep on gaming. Bye.